Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees and pranams. Thank you very much for joining in for our Ramayana study session today. Let's start with the prayers. ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्या नाम्ने गौरदुषे नमः पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे गुरवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तरालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः मुगं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरून् दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यमीश्वरं हरि ओम तत्सत् हरे कृष्णा. So we were studying Ramayana. When we were studying the last week, we saw that Rama, Lakshmana, and Bharata. I mean Rama, Lakshmana, and Sita Devi. They've reached Chitrakoot, right? And we also see that Dasharath Maharaj passes away, and Vasishta Rishi actually calls for Bharat. And that is a time when this news is going to be disclosed to Bharat. Bharat is not aware of what is happening in Ayodhya, right? Because he's gone to his father-in-law's place, right? So he's not in Ayodhya, so he's completely clueless about whatever is happening in Ayodhya. So now Vasishta Muni is sending a messenger to Bharat, to the king, to the Kushatvaja's kingdom, actually telling, requesting Bharat to come back, right? Not to disclose any information about what is happening in Ayodhya, but simply requesting Bharat to come back to Ayodhya. So that was the intention in which Vasishta Muni actually sent across a messenger to King Kushatvaja's kingdom. However, we read last week, that Bharat was already getting some bad dreams. Bharat was getting some omens, which was not so auspicious. And when Bharat wakes up, he's already thinking something has gone wrong, or something is going to go wrong. So in that state of mind, we were also discussing that sometimes we also feel, we also have that kind of intuition that something is likely to go wrong. And what can we do at that time? We can completely take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to give us intelligence to respond to that situation in a way that's pleasing to Guru and Gauranga. So that's where we ended our last week's session. So let's continue reading. Now Bharat has got this some kind of dreams which is talking about the ill omens, or the inauspicious situation that is likely to occur, right? Sometimes those are false also, but here, since Bharat is very evolved, and Bharat is Bharat is, the brother of Lord Ram, and in fact, it is said that Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, Shatrughna, they represent the four tattvas, the four supreme truth, like Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, Sudarshan, Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, Shatrughna, right? Vasudeva, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Sankarshana. So like that, they all are the supreme personality of Godhead. They've appeared in four forms. So Bharat knew that something has gone wrong. So in this way, we see that Bharat is already getting these kind of ill omens. Bharat is thinking, what is going, what wrong is going to happen, or what wrong has already happened. So in that mood, he awakes, and on that particular day, the messenger also from Ayodhya reaches the kingdom of Kushadwaja. And then let us see what happens. What does the messenger give the information to Bharata, and what happens next is what we're going to study today as part of the Ramayana discussion. So, yeah, Karpagavali Mataji, please go ahead. Bharata knew the signs of omens and dreams from there.
Hare Krishna, Dandatana Mataji.
Yes.
Bharata knew the signs of omens and dreams. He understood that these visions clearly indicated his father's death, or perhaps the death of one of his brothers. Sighing heavily, the prince continued, "My throat feels parched and I am gripped by anxiety. Suddenly, I hate myself for no reason. Surely, some great calamity is imminent." As Bharata spoke, a messenger entered his room to announce the arrival of envoys from Ayodhya. They came before Bharata and bowed low, touching his feet and saying, "We have been sent by the sage Vasishtha. He sends word that all is well, but he requires your immediate presence in Ayodhya for some urgent business." On behalf of Dasratha, the envoys presented their gifts to the Achaea king and his son. The messengers were feeling fatigued from their journey, so Bharata had them seated and served them with the best of food and drink. He tried to find out from them the exact nature of the business for which Vasishtha was summoning him. Thinking of his dream, he asked about his father and the other dear relatives. The messengers answered his questions politely, carefully avoiding telling him about his father's death or Rama's exile. Bharata could nevertheless sense that something was terribly wrong. He wanted to depart immediately. He went to King Aswapati, requesting his permission to leave. The king embraced him and said, In you, my daughter Kaikeyi is blessed with a noble son. Leave now with my blessings, but return again when your business is complete." The king of Kaikeya presented Bharata with many gifts to take to Ayodhya. Huge elephants, horses, costly clothes, and much gold were given by King Ashwapati. He also quickly arranged for detachment of his best soldiers to accompany Bharata. Bharata received gifts with gratitude for the best of his ability, but his mind was distracted. He was anxious and could not wait to depart. Taking leave of his friends and relations, Bharata mounted his chariot along with Satrughna, and they hurriedly left, followed by hundreds of other chariots as well as by the thousands of elephants and horses gifted by the king. The prince of Ayodhya went out of the city looking like a god leaving the heavenly city of Indra. It's Krishna. For 7 days, Bharata and his party traveled to Ayodhya. The prince longed to see race ahead, taking the shorter route through the woods as did the messengers from Ayodhya. But he was hampered by his large retinue. They went along the established roads and passed through many villages and towns, but they did not stop anywhere. Bharata's mind was filled with apprehension. What could possibly be wrong, especially in the presence of Rama and Lakshman? As party reached it, uh, had their father died, was there something powerful enemy beside the city? Perhaps it was simply that his father wished to install Rama as a king, but why had the messengers not told him? As the party reached the territory of Kosala, Bharata urged on his chariot. His chariot went quickly ahead, leaving the army headed by Satrughna to follow slowly behind. He soon arrived at Ayodhya, looking at the city from distance. Bharata said to his chariot, "Something is surely amiss in this great and glorious city. I do not hear the usual clamor of men nor the sound of sacred recitations made by throngs of Brahmins as they perform sacrifices. Even the animals are silent. No one is moving about the on the roads, and no one has come out to greet me. As they pass along the main road into the city, Barda became even more concerned. Where were the young couples who would always sport romantically in the garments lining the road, the trees in whose deserted gardens, with their leaves falling all round, seeming to Barada to be weeping. As he rode quickly into the city, he saw various still women. Crows and vultures cried on all sides, and the sun was enveloped by dark clouds, and the chill wind blew, raising up clouds of dust and leaves. Varada reached the city western gate. The guards gladdened to uh, the Bharata reached the city's western gate. The guards, glad to see him, welcomed him with loud shouts. Prince moved on after politely greeting the sentries. He was tired and his mind was dejected and disturbed. He spoke again to the charioteer. Why have I been suddenly brought here? O noble one, I wonder what terrible calamity has occurred. Even without my apparent cause, my heart is sinking and my mind is consumed by fear. The prince looked around as the chariot spread toward Dasara's palace. He saw signs, it seemed to him, to indicate king's death. Houses were unswept, dirty looking and bereft of splendor. Their doors standing wide open. There were no smoke from sacrificial fires rising up, nor the usual sweet aroma of aloe and sandalwood drifting from the mansions along the road. Men and women were standing here and there, wearing soiled clothes and looking pale and emaciated, as if they had not eaten for days. Varda looked at the closed shop fronts and abandoned marketplaces and temples with their dusty courtyards and the deities without fresh dresses or garlands. Everything seemed desolate, filled with sorrow to see and the unprecedented state of his beloved city. The prince arrived at Dasratha's palace. Varda went quickly to his father's rooms and was alarmed to find the king not present. Everyone looked down to avert his gaze. The palace ladies were weeping, and a sorrowful silence had replaced the normal sounds of drums, flutes, and Vedic recitations. Varda felt his stomach sink and his limbs seemed to dissolve. Too afraid to ask about his father from the people present, he ran to his mother's apartments. As he entered, Kaigeyi sprang from her golden seat. Bharata bowed and touched his mother's feet, and she embraced him. It had been a long time since she had seen him. Holding her son and seating him on her lap, Kaikeyi inquired, How was your journey? Um, how was your journey, my son? You must be tired. Are your grandfather and uncle both well? Have you not fared well yourself while living in their kingdom? I have missed you here. After hearing her endearing questions, Bharata told her everything about himself, still filled with apprehension. He asked, How is it that I do not see the king seated here with you? Where indeed is my wise father? Why do I find everyone looking disconsolate and not speaking? I am long to clasp my father's feet. Tell me, gentle mother, how is he now? Is he just now in Kaushalya's apartments, possessed by
Hare
greed for the
Krishna.
kingdom? Thank you, mother. Thank
Hare Dandal Pranam. Okay, so this is very interesting. See, originally the description of Ayodhya was that it was all full of auspiciousness, right? There were recitation of mantras, and there were drums and other instruments being played, and everybody was in a jubilant mood, and there was always a recitation of Sanskrit mantras. So like that, but when Bharat was coming back from not from this, no, he had gone to his grandfather's place, right? Kaikeyi's parents' place, right? So he was in his grandfather's place. She was coming back from there. So when he came back from there to Ayodhya, he's finding that all the Sanskrit chants are missing, the instrument playing is missing, everybody is sad, and the entire place is dull and unclean and everything. So Bharat is wondering, why have I been called to come back, and why is this entire place um, so unusually glum and unusually not clean, unusually very very despondent like that. So immediately he goes to Mother Kaikeyi, right? Because he's not able to see even Dashrath Maharaj there in the palace. So immediately he goes to ask his mother, right? And of course, Kaikeyi is very happy that everything has gone her way. Rama has been sent to the forest. And also although Dashrath Maharaj had died, right? She did not, although definitely she must have felt some kind of remorse, but then from her attitude towards what she's speaking to Bharata, she does not seem to be repentant, because of what she did, and which has resulted in the death of Dashrath Maharaj. So in that way, she is inquiring about well-being of Bharata, and then Bharata tells everything about the trip. And finally, when Bharata asks Kaikeyi, where is Dashrath Maharaj? Is he in along with Kaushalya, because I've not been able to see him in the palace? And now Kaikeyi is going to tell what has transpired, and then that will result a change in the attitude of Bharat towards his own mother Kaikeyi, because he understands that Kaikeyi is the cause of all that has happened, including the death of my father. So in that way, Bharat will completely understand everything. So let's continue reading how Kaikeyi is going to describe to Bharat Maharaj what has happened in Ayodhya and why there is such a gloomy situation in Ayodhya. Okay, Archana Shri Radha Mataji, please go ahead and read. Possessed by greed for the kingdom, from there.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Possessed by greed for the kingdom, Kaikeyi began to tell her son the terrible news as if it were agreeable and pleasant. You high-souled and glorious father, your high-souled and glorious father, who was always the shelter of all living beings, has attained the state of the gods. This kingdom is now yours. Bharata looked at his mother in disbelief. He fell to his knees, crying out, "Alas, I am ruined." He stuck his arms on the floor. His worst fear was confirmed. With his mind confused and agitated, Bharata lamented. This golden couch would always appear beautiful, being adorned with king's presents. Now it appears dark and lusterless, like the night sky bereft of the moon. Oh, where is my noble father? Bharata covered his handsome face with a cloth and cried in anguish. Seeing her son, whose body shone like that of a god, laying on the floor in a wrecked state. Kaikeyi raised him and said, "Get up, O king. Why are you lying here like one unfortunate? Virtuous souls like you are never overwhelmed by grief. Steady your mind, which is always fixed in pity and knows the truth. This wide earth now awaits your rule, O sinless one." Bharata wept for some time, unable to speak. He remembered his father's love and affection, how the king had personally trained him in statecraft, how they had played and sported together, the times he had sat with his father as he related tales of their great ancestors. Now he was gone. How could it have happened? Bharata could not understand why no one had called him earlier. Calming his mind, he said, having speculated that the king was to install Rama as the Prince Regent, I came here swiftly. It seems my calculation was wrong, as I do not see either my father or Rama. The prince was confused. His mother sat calmly as he spoke out his grief. Of what disease did my father die, O mother? How fortunate are Rama and Lakshman that they were able to perform the last rite of the great monarch. Or is my father still present? Surely he does not know I have arrived, or else he would have come quickly to see me, embracing me and offering his blessings. Where is that gentle hand which would often brush me off when I would fall in the dust as a child? Bharata looked up into his mother's face, his eyes streaming. Please announce my arrival to Rama, for a man who knows what is right. The elder brother is as good as the father. I shall fall at Rama's feet and ask him what final words were spoken by the righteous and ever truthful king. I wish to hear my father's last kind message to me. Kaikeyi slowly replied to her son, telling him the course of events exactly as they occurred. The glorious king, the best among the wise, departed from the world, departed, uh, departed from this world, calling out, O Rama, O Sita, O Lakshmana, bound by the loss of time, even as a powerful elephant is bound by ropes. The king submitted to death, saying, Only those men who will see Rama return with Sita and Lakshmana will have their desires fulfilled and be happy. Hearing this news, Bharata became even more confused. What did the king mean? Where were his brothers and Sita? He asked his mother. Kaikeyi began to relate how they had left for the forest, speaking as if it were something Bharata would be pleased to hear. Prince Rama with Sita and Lakshmana left the city clad in the tree barks. They have gone to a distant forest and will remain there for 14 years. Bharata was shocked. How could it be true? Surely Rama could not have been exiled. What crime could he possibly have committed? The prince spoke in amazement. Did Rama wrongly seize property from some elevated Brahmin? Did my brother somehow kill the sinless man? Surely he did not look longingly upon another's wife. I cannot imagine Rama ever doing anything even remotely sinful. Why then he gone to into exile, accompanied by delicate Sita and his loyal brother? Kaikeyi completely misunderstood Bharata's mood. Out of ignorance, she imagined he would be pleased to hear that, thanks to her machination,
Machinations.
machinations. He had become the undisputed ruler. She smiled as she spoke to her son. Rama has committed no sin. However, entirely neglecting your noble self, the king was intent upon installing him as the prince regent. As soon as this news reached me, I asked your father to send Rama away and install you instead. Bharata's face froze as his mother continued. Bound by the truthfulness, the emperor did my bidding and granted me two boons which were owed from the former occasion. After exiling Rama, who was followed by Sita and Lakshman, the king was sorely afflicted with an unbearable grief. Overwhelmed with pain and constantly calling Rama's name, the Lord of Ayodhya left this world and ascended to heaven. Kaikeyi saw Bharat's pained expression. Do not yield to grief, dear son. This city and indeed this earth now depend upon you. Be firm and perform your father's funeral ceremony, O Bharata, then assume the throne as undisputed ruler of the globe. Bharata could not believe what he was hearing. Had his mother gone mad? Did she really think he envied Rama and coveted the throne? Covering his face with his hands and slowly shaking his head, he replied to shameless Kaikeyi, What came into your mind, O cruel woman, that you could have perpetrated such an act? What possible gain is there for me in having the sovereignty of the earth while I stand deprived of my dearest relation? By sending my father to the next world and Rama to the forest, you have heaped calamity upon calamity. The prince was infuriated. His mother's actions were unforgivable. Kaikeyi shrunk back as he roared, piercing with his volleys of words. You have appeared in my family like goddess Kalaratri, the night of universal dissolution. Having clasped you to his bosom, my father has brought about his own death and the extermination of his race. O woman, you who sees evil where there is none, you have ended my family's joy to greed alone. Tell me the reason that impelled you to kill the king and exile sinless Rama. Aghast, her son's vehement. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranams.
So this is very interesting, right? Because what Kaikeyi thought, Bharat would be very happy that Kaikeyi has done all these things to get himself to become the king of Ayodhya, and then the Rama, his elder brother, who's like a competitor. Now he has been sent to the forest. So Bharata, you are the undisputed ruler. When Kaikeyi thought, because she's totally in ignorance. Now that she's completely influenced by mantra. She's not able to discriminate what is right, what is wrong. So she's not able to have a proper judgment at all. So she's thinking, now Bharat will be very happy with me. right? So in this way, she tells Bharata, I only did this, expecting Bharata to praise her, right? But Bharata, what does he do? He is aghast by what his mother has done, and he's telling Kaikeyi what went wrong. You are. How could you do such a thing to your husband? And the Lord Ram has gone to the forest, and the King Dasharath has left this world, and you are saying you are the cause of everything, and you are being happy about it. So like that, Bharat is shocked to even remotely think that his mother could have done anything like this. All right, let's move ahead. Shobha Mataji, go ahead. Aghast at her son's vehement reaction.
Hare Krishna Dandot Pranam Mataji Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Shri Ram. Aghast at her son's vehement reaction, Kaikeyi tried to defend herself. She spoke candidly, telling him about her conversation with Manthara. Oh Prince, I would surely have said nothing to your father, but Manthara pointed out how you were being wronged. My dear son, I simply acted with your interests in mind. This only angered Bharata all the more. In grief and anger, he stood blazing like fire. With copper-eyed eyes, he gazed at his mother, who sat on a couch with her head cast downwards. Alas, he continued, his voice incredulous. I am shamed, by my own mother, having got you for their co-wife. The godly Kaushalya and Sumitra have been tormented with agony. How did you not grieve, O hard-hearted one, when you saw those gentle ladies weeping as their heroic sons left for the forest? Are you happy to see your husband lying dead? Rama with Sita and Lakshmana banished, and your remaining family seized with unbearable pain. Bharata wept aloud while Kaikeyi sat silently. He sat astonished at his mother's deed. What on earth had possessed her? She had never acted like this before. She had always loved Rama as much as her own son. How could she possibly think it would please him to gain the sovereignty in this terrible way? Bharata went on fiercely. Blinded by lust, you have clearly not understood my devotion to Rama. I will never take this kingdom in his absence. My strength and intelligence depend only upon my powerful brother. Rama should certainly become the king while I become his humble servant. I can no more take the weight of the kingdom than a young calf can take the load borne easily by a bull. Even if I were able to rule without Rama, I will never allow you to achieve your cherished end. I would sooner die. Bharata's mind raged. Kaikeyi's insane action had to be somehow reversed. He resolved to go immediately to the forest and find Rama. He first had to establish to Rama and Kaikeyi's abhorrent act had nothing to do with him. What must Rama be thinking? Surely he would not believe that his own devoted brother was in any way guilty. Did anyone think that? Bharata was horrified. He rounded on Kaikeyi again. I cannot stand
Mataji,
by.
one second. Haribol. Okay. Sorry, Mataji. Go ahead. Shobha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mate, I cannot stand by and watch the path of morality abandoned as a result of your sinful desires. The eternal moral code prescribes that the king's elder son should inherit the throne, especially when the son is the most highly qualified and beloved of all the people. I shall doubtlessly bring back Rama from the forest. O ill-minded one, you will never see me installed as the king. Bharata continued to reproach his mother with sharp words. Kaikeyi remained silent, her mind bewildered. Bharata's reaction was quite unexpected and she did not know how to reply. Bharata shook his head. Since you have committed a hideous sin, you shall surely reside in hell. There you shall wail endlessly with none of your desires objects attained. Do not say anything to me, evil lady. I hereby desert you. You are neither my mother nor the emperor's wife. Without doubt, you are a wicked Rakshasi who entered my family in the guise of a relation. Bharata hissed like an enraged serpent. Immediate remedial Action was required. He would bring Rama back and then take his place in the forest to fulfill his vow. How could he possibly remain in the Ayodhya among the grieving citizens while Rama sat in some lonely wilderness? The prince pointed angrily at his mother. As they went on, for your part, cruel woman, you had best either enter fire, swallow poison, or go yourself to the forest. There is no other course left for you to free yourself from the stain of your sinful deed. I myself shall be freed of this sin only when Rama had been brought back and installed upon the throne. Bharata fell to the floor almost senseless with grief, with his garments in disarray and his wealth tossed about. The prince looked like a banner raised in honor of Indra and suddenly dropped down again. While Bharata lay absorbed in sorrow, Dasharatha's ministers, having heard the commotions in Kaikeyi's room, gathered around. After some time, Bharata regained his sense and saw the ministers surrounding him. Rising up quickly, the prince again rebuked his mother, who sat miserable, her eyes full of tears. Bharata turned towards the king's advisors and said in a loud voice, "At no time,
Mataji,
Haribol."
Hare Krishna.
Thank
You, Mataji.
you.
Haribol.
Dandavats.
Yeah. So here we see that Kaikeyi is in a shock. Sometimes you do so much thinking that it is for the other person's benefit, only to understand that you caused more grief to that person. And then what else can you do, right? Now the time has passed, and there's nothing that Kaikeyi can do. So that is why we need proper discrimination, which can only be obtained by studying scriptures in the association of devotees. So when in doubt, it is always best to check with our superiors before we get into an action. Right? Because sometimes, people may allure us with words that seem to be very, very fantastic, right? But actually, there may be some things that will cause more distress than any kind of pleasure, isn't it? So in that way, whenever we are confused, or when we don't know, when we're not sure what we are doing is right, it is always best to take guidance from the senior devotees, and then go ahead. Otherwise, we'll have to cut the sorry face, right, where we think we are doing something very beneficial, but it actually turns out to be distress, not only to the person to whom we did some kind of benefit, but also to ourselves, right? So, and the entire plan of Kaikeyi has spoiled, and not only causing distress to others, but to her own self, like that. Okay, Srimati Shamapriya Mataji, go ahead. Bharata turned.
Hare Krishna Mataji, pranams. Bharata turned towards the king's advisors and said in loud voice, "At no time did this sinful woman consult with me concerning Rama's exile. I have never courted the kingdom. Indeed, I knew nothing of the intended installation of Rama. I was far away from Ayodhya. Only today I learned all the facts from my mother, whom I utterly reject." Kaushalya, whose rooms were nearby, heard Bharat's voice. Kaushalya, whose room were nearby, heard Bharat's voice. She got up, desiring to speak to the prince. Bharat was also thinking of Kaushalya. He ran out to Kaikeyi's apartment, accompanied by Shatrughna. As they went towards Kaushalya, they saw her in the passageway. She was dressed in white silks and appeared pale and emaciated. Her body was trembling and she seemed distracted. As she saw the two princes approaching, she cried out and collapsed to the floor. Bharat and Shatrughna quickly lifted her up, and she embraced the brothers, who were both weeping. The distraught queen said to Bharata, "You may now enjoy this kingdom stripped of all its enemies. Surely you hankered for the sovereignty, and now your mother has fully secured it for you. The cruel Kaikeyi has sent away my son as an ascetic. He should now send me away as well. Otherwise, I shall place at my head the sacrificial fire, and followed by Sumitra, proceed happily along the road taken by Rama. In any event, I cannot remain here any longer." Kaushalya sobbed as she spoke. "Your mother has served you well, O Bharata. The plan has succeeded. Rule now this wide earth abounding in riches. But first, please take me to wherever my high-souled son is staying. I shall spend my days with him in the forest." Queen bitterly approached Bharata with many painful words. Hearing this, the prince was stunned and he practically lost consciousness, his mind utterly confused. He fell at Kausalya's feet and cried out, kneeling before her with joined palms. Bharata said, "Surely you know my love for Rama. O noble lady, how could you even imagine that I am in any way guilty of conspiring with Kaikeyi? I found out only today of this terrible turn of events." Bharata clasped Kausalya's feet. Did she really believe he was a party to Rama's exile? The prince spoke from his heart. Let the man who agrees to Rama's exile recap the sins that follow every kind of wicked act condemned in the scriptures. Let him roam about this world like a madman, clad in rags and begging for his food. Let him never take delight in piety and truth. Let all his wealth be looted by robbers. Let him fall victim to every kind of disease. Let him never attain the higher regions inhabited by the gods. Indeed, let the merciless and evil man fall down to the darkest hell and never and remain there forever. Prince expressed the prince expressed his anger to Kausalya, pleading his innocence by making numerous difficult oaths. He was mortified to think that anyone could imagine in any way inimical to Rama. The queen was reassured by Bharata's words. She had spoken only out of her own anguish. In her heart, she knew the prince was innocent. Gently stroking his head, she said, "My agony is aggravated by your pain, dear son. Surely you are free of all sins. Your mind has not deviated from righteousness, and you are true to your word. You will doubtlessly reach the realms of the virtuous, my child." As Kausalya and Bharata spoke together, remembering Rama and the king, they both fell to the floor, overpowered with grief. The palace attendants then helped them to their rooms, where they lay in a peaceful sleep. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare-
Continue.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hare. So we see here that at least Kaushalya believed that Bharat did not have a hand in all of this, and at least they had the solace of being together and crying. And now they would go back to Lord Ram in the forest, asking Lord Ram to come back. So let's see what happens next. We'll study tomorrow in our Ramayana session. We'll quickly end with Harinam Sankirtan. रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय जय जगन्नाथ जय जय जगन्नाथ जय जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा जय जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा जय जय सुदर्शन जय जय सुदर्शन जय जय सुदर्शन जय जय सुदर्शन जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे जया बाल गोपाल जय रुक्मिणी विठल जय प्रहलाद नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय गुरुवायूरप्प जय राधा गिरिधारी जय राधा कुंज बिहारी श्री राधे जय सद्गोस्वामी जय गुरु परंपरा जय प्रभुपादा जय गुरुदेवा नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल Shri Ram Sankirtan ki jai. Today is Snana Yatra Mahamotsava. We can go to the nearest ISKCON temple to take part in bathing Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra Maiya, Sudarshan ji, as they would be going sick by the will of the Lord. The Lord wants to become sick. And in this way, take rest for the next 15 days as we yearn in separation. Of course, we have the Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra Maiya deities at our home. So although we do Snana Yatra, we still have the darshan of the Lord. We get the opportunity to serve the Lord. Right? But this particular pastime is to increase our yearning. To always be in the association of the Lord, to have darshan of the Lord. So in this way, for the next 15 days, there will be no darshan of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra Maiya, Sudarshan ji in the ISKCON temples. Devotees can go today to take part in the Snana Yatra Mahamotsava. This is supposed to be the appearance day of Lord Jagannath. So it's it's as important as Shri Krishna Janmashtami. It's appearance day of Lord Jagannath. So we should go to the temple and we should serve the Lord. And those who have Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra deities at home can do Snana Yatra at home. And then dress the deities very nicely in nice woolen clothes, keep them nicely treated with nice khichdi like this for the next 15 days. And then when they come return on Rath Yatra, then we all go in huge numbers and pull the Rath of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra Maiya, Sudarshan ji. So thank you very much. Granth Shri Ramayana ki jai, Jagannath Snana Yatra Mahamotsava ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. You can also sing Jagannath Ashtakam today. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.